You might think that poetry in today's world has no place, but as you can see at Osceola, with the Vanguard Reverb Club, they are offering a tantalizing story in the spoken word.
So what I love most about poetry is that you can always write how you're feeling. So if you're happy, you can write a nice and happy poem. Or if you're sad, you can write a kind of sad poem. Well, we brought our Reverb Spoken Word Poetry Club to Osceola Middle School to bring a new current kind of poetry to the middle school students. In classes, they get to study a lot of classic poetry, a lot of the kind of boring stuff, so they don't realize that poetry can be creative and fun. So we want to introduce them to this new kind of spoken word poetry and give them a chance to experience that kind of creativity.
Being creative in poetry has a very wide-ranging view, as one of Reverb's students tells us in her poem.
I've only ever been in one long-term relationship, and it lasted about 12 years. Now I know I look not much older than 12, but let me explain.
The first poem I've performed today is about my relationship that I had with gymnastics. I was a gymnast for 12 years, and it was a long journey, and I ended up stopping in middle school, but it had something that was a part of my life for such a long time that I wrote a lot of poetry about it because it brought a lot of feelings out in me, and I felt like I had an emptiness when I stopped doing gymnastics, so I needed to write poetry, and I performed that for the students because there's a point in the poem where I change what I'm talking about. I played it up as if gymnastics was a man or a person that I was in a relationship with, and then I switched that to talking about gymnastics and how it was not really a person I was in a relationship with, but it was an actual sport.
Of course, poetry can be anything that your heart desires, and in a lot of instances it does just that. It lets your heart speak.
Giving students an opportunity to write gives them an opportunity to feel empowered. And in the high school age right now, they're so mature. They understand what's happening in society. They understand what's happening in the world. They understand a lot about themselves. And this gives them an outlet, an avenue. Some of them are excellent writers.
Perhaps I will be a time traveler. Perhaps I will come back to this day and write down a line or two when my wrists can barely move to make words, when the pen just doesn't fit into my fingers like it used to.
And not every piece is great, not every piece that I write is great. Some of it starts and then I say, well, that's garbage, I'm throwing that away. But the good pieces stick, and they grow and they develop, and some of our students will write something early and then they'll go back and edit it, and it becomes something so much bigger and so much more meaningful to them. It's a cool way to let them grow.
We are so proud of you. It is my understanding that you are one of the top 5 finalists in Marion County for the Essential Support Person of the Year.
So you are one of the 5 finalists for School Related Employee of the Year. So we're very excited to be honoring you at the breakfast on December 7th.
Thank you so much. Congratulations. You are a finalist for Non-instruct of the Year. So there you go.
Wow, thank you so much.
Congratulations. You're one of the finalists for Support Personnel of the Year. You're very welcome.
This came totally unexpectedly.
Hey, Miss Kittles. Hi. How are you?
I'm well, how are you?
It's very good to see you. Congratulations. You are one of the 5 finalists. We are so excited. I'm dropping stuff. It's awesome.
Culinary arts students study many different aspects of food, and they also have to have a working knowledge of nutrition and diet, culminating into meals that are pleasing to the eye as well as the palate. And Denellen High School has a culinary program that is sizzling hot.
The kids are excited about the program in general. As long as they see excitement coming from me, they feed off my excitement and the time I put in. They're excited about doing any kind of after-school activities, catering jobs, anything that we do here on campus for faculty and staff. They are ready and eager to go.
They are also ready and eager to go into the real world with real training and real goals.
As of right now, we are leading the county in industry certifications in ServSafe, which is a manager's certificate that they can have. So they're job ready when they go into the restaurant industry. I also do ProStart industry certification, which eliminates them from an entire class from certain colleges once they go into that particular field.
When I graduate, I'm probably going to just get a small job in a restaurant, see what I can do with that, and then at the same time, I've been getting in contact with Johnson & Wales University to try and go to there to learn more about cooking, and then go into food industry for a couple of years, and then after that, maybe even own my own restaurant.
One student in particular has a love of cooking that goes from soup to nuts.
It's just exciting being able to see the process that goes into it, not just from kitchen to plate, from farm to cooking to kitchen to plate, from being able to have a hand in it, being able to learn the different seasonings, know what tastes like what does what to this thing, and what goes well together. It's awesome. It's a huge thing to learn and to know, because it's a relationship-wise, and that sounds silly because it's food, but food has relationships with everything. Because whether it's a relationship between people or the relationship between ingredients, it's always something is going to be intertwined with each other, and I think that's huge.
These cooking students have something in common with what food starts as, and seeing it through, just like a good meal, is satisfying.
That's a seed sown, and you're sitting back and you're watching that seed grow. That's huge to me, as far as them going into the restaurant industry or culinary arts.
If these culinary students learn how to cook with the main ingredient of love, it is melting more than just butter in pans.
So if they pursue this, that warms my heart. They get scholarships to go further, which Florida Restaurant Lodging Association, they have tons of money, and they help these kids push towards that goal. And that is something that I look forward to every single day. As a matter of fact, this is going to be my largest class going into the restaurant industry. I have a total of 15 students going into culinary after graduation.
The love for cooking and being in this course does not stop at the appetizer for these future chefs.
Our instructor is amazing. She's the best woman that you'll ever meet in your life. She's so helpful and so teaching, and it's a home environment. We're learning to cook, but we're learning to cook through a restaurant, but home meals. We're learning to do it as a family, and not just we're in school doing it as an assignment. We're doing it to have fun because we love to cook, and she teaches us how to love to cook, and it's a great program.
Denellen High School has the best culinary arts program in the state.
Something came to visit Hillcrest School today that was full of sound and vibrations. No, it wasn't construction of any kind. It was two members of the Ocala Symphony Orchestra who came to perform and educate these students.
Well, we actually are trying to reach the entire county. That's actually the end goal of this whole thing, is we want to bring as much acoustic instrumentation to every elementary school in the county, because that's what we're doing it for, is we're trying to just connect with the younger audience that we don't normally get to connect with at an orchestra concert. Yeah, we want to see them more often. We want them to see the instruments more often. All of these things would be good for the entire culture at large, if you will.
Most musicians do arrange their music to fit the atmosphere of the room or the hall that they are playing, but oftentimes simple is best.
Sure. Yeah, you want to play to your audience for sure. Do you have a response to that?
Yeah, definitely. To engage the kids, because a lot of times classical music is very like academic, especially some of the heavier stuff, and it's just not as entertaining to the kids. But they've heard all the Disney music and songs off the radio, and showing them that that's music too. That's something you can play on an instrument. You might also play classical music, but there's also jazz, there's also rock, there's also, you know, the songs that you love to play. You can do all of that. So like showing them the versatility of music.
Exactly.
Sounds are universal. We all generate sounds of some kind each and every day. How important is the art of music to the student that may not be able to express themselves fully in their studies and in their life?
Like, aside from like attaching it to test scores and everything, because I feel like people do that a lot, and we don't need test scores to justify music. Like, music is what it is. Like, you know, we sing without being prompted. Like, you get a song in your head, you hear sound, we respond to sound. We speak with the language, which is like very closely related to music, especially some of like Eastern dialects that actually have pitches to their words. So it's just very human, I think.
That was awesome, right, Michelle?